for restarting. This week we're watching Ted, the entire series, as well as putting a bullet in the end of Monarch, talks of Bob's Burgers, What If, and a hidden gem coming up. And if you don't agree,
you're wrong.
welcome, guys, back to another episode. If you don't agree, you're wrong. And please, guys, if you do like the show, he's repeating it. I thought it was an echo, but it is. It's an echo all the way from Texas. He's throwing me off on purpose here.
My boy here is having a little bit of my boy here is having a little bit of internet connectivity issues, which is why he looks blockier and less refined than what he usually does. And of course, I'm absolutely helping in no way possible, and I'm just trying to make it worse.
Yes, I'm close to appeasing the internet gods, guys, so it should be back to normal next week. In the meantime, I think we just get cracking into this, Jason, while we do have internet at some level. And let's talk about Daz's Spotlight this week.
Daz's Spotlight.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there's a bumper for that, isn't there?
Try.
Awesome. Hold on.
Yeah. There's a reason why. It's going to be that type of show, guys.
I told you not to put me in charge of anything.
Well, we've got an interesting one to talk about this week, and every week on If You Don't Agree, You're Wrong, we're doing Daz's Spotlight, where we're going to dig deep into a new show that's come out. And this one came out a couple of weeks ago, Jace. We're talking about, as the thumbnail suggests, Ted. Yes, the new Seth MacFarland series based on the 2012 film. Yeah, we don't talk about the sequel, do we, Jace?
Boy and his teddy bear. Obviously, they are into making lamps.
Yes, into making lamps. Lamps. Yeah. I was lamps. I was giving it a bit more British. Lamps.
Excuse me. They're into making lamps.
Yeah, Jace, I was not expecting much from the show, but I had a blast watching this entire series.
I have to agree. I had low expectations going in, and I was shocked by the quality of this series. Honestly, there's been, let's face it, one good Ted movie. I stand by that, and you heard what I said. So I just wasn't expecting this to be good. I saw it as kind of like a Peacock cash grab. And yeah, Seth MacFarland really put a lot of effort into the writing of this series. The characters were all great. The show looks spectacular production-wise. I mean, this is a classic. And since it has premiered, it has become Peacock's biggest show ever.
That's amazing, isn't it? And yeah, it's Seth MacFarlane firing at his best. Also, anyone who was a fan of the Orville may notice they've brought a couple of people over. I believe most of the crew are the same from the Orville. So that, I think, helps. They were going to let him spend the money on the show, because if Ted don't work as a CGI character, the show doesn't work. Secondly, I think they had a well-honed team at this point, because they'd done 3 seasons of Orville. And, and I just think, Seth was allowed to make the show that we wanted to see. It's highly relatable. But for me, Jace, it's the parents that steal the show. I'm in love with the parents in the show.
They are just great. Scott Grimes, who, of course, plays on the Orville and is the voice of Steve Smith on American Dad. And that's not the mom, but I can't remember the mom's name. Give me a second and I will look it up. The mom is the scene stealer, I thought. The mom is just, there she is. The mom was wonderful. Her name is Alana Ubach. And she reminded me a lot of Edith from All in the Family. And I do think that was intentional, because she was kind of the wilting violet, just very, very meek, no opinions of her own. But she grows as a character throughout these 6 very short episodes, and she's one of my favorites. I just really enjoyed her.
Both the kids, in fact, everybody they cast in this show is really good for their role, including the young man named Mark Burkholder, who really has to carry this this series with
Yes.
Ted. And like, he's a young guy. He's had to basically probably act across a tennis ball. And just got this really natural way about him. I just thought it was incredible. I mean, what are some of your highlights from the series, Jace?
Oh, some of my highlights. Just so many of them. First of all, Ted is just vicious with his just forked tongue. Anytime anybody comes across his family, he's gonna just lambaste them. But the thing that I enjoyed most about this series and about Ted as a character is that whenever Ted does something, he never does it from a place of malice, and he never does it from a place of selfishness. Everything he does, everything he says, and all of the shenanigans they get up to all come from Ted's desire to show love and affection to his family and to try to make the world a better place. Um, Sometimes it is just absolutely hilarious, such as here, whenever he tries to be a marriage counselor to the mom and the dad. Uh, but I love that it is so unexpectedly wholesome. It is a story about family and friendship, and I loved it. I loved every episode of this series.
And I think you're right about the tone. It has got such a wholesome sitcom tone feel to it. Like, even the music that they use, Jason, in between the segues and that, you might go, that music sounds familiar, because it's the stuff they use for transitions and Family Guy and things like that. And I think they've got the best of Ted, the best of Family Guy, and smashed it together to make this thing.
Yes,
And a lot of people were saying, how can you make a Ted series without Mark Wahlberg? Easy.
it's
This.
easy. Yeah,
There you go. You
it's
don't need him.
it's called an upgrade.
Yeah, it's called
I'm
an
sorry.
upgrade.
I'm sorry. You were sitting there talking about Max Burkholder acting
Yeah.
across from a tennis ball. I think that's how Ted felt in the movies whenever he was acting across from Mark Wahlberg. Not Mark Wahlberg's biggest fan. You know,
Hey, can I say one of the highlights this series for me? I'm trying to find his name, but the fact that the father wishes his childhood toy into existence in one of the
oh, that's
episodes. My God, the toy truck,
the
who
toy.
is
Oh my gosh.
as racist, belligerent, nasty, loud, manipulative, like the worst kind of human being in this truck, yet he is hilarious. And then we find out why he had so much repressed anger in the end. He had some things that he needed to deal with internally. And so even the truck gets a really good arc in this show. Like, everybody's looked after. It's pretty great,
It's just that 30 minutes was better than any Transformers movie I've ever seen. Yeah, Scott Grimes as Maddie was just so funny because on the Orville he's such a wonderful, giving, lovely character.
Mm.
And then he comes over here and he's just the exact opposite. He's selfish, he's mean, and you kind of get the feeling from the truck episode that a lot of his attitude could be his own self-loathing. Not necessarily for the same reason the truck was self-loathing, but there's a reason why he just does not like himself. And yeah, I don't know. I hope that is
But
explored.
even, I gotta say, even at his worst, I always found him likable. Now that's a challenge. To make really a real D-bag of a dad, but yet make him likable in every episode. Don't know how they did
Probably,
it.
yeah, it's probably how Susan and Maddie reminded me so much of Archie Bunker and Edith.
Yeah.
Because Archie Bunker was just, everybody likes to look back and say, this guy was just, nobody can make a show like this because everybody be offended. Nobody understands that Archie Bunker was created to make fun of people like that.
Yes.
Same thing with Maddie and Susan. It's the boomer generation with the entitlement and the meekness, just coming into full contact with the 90s. I just find it so much fun.
And they hit it right on the end with that final episode, because at the tail end of the episode, without spoil, well, there are spoilers. I don't care. It's the fact that Max looks like at some point he's about to get jiggy with it. John, sorry, the character John, and OJ comes on TV, stops everything. The world stops to watch OJ going down the highway, which is pretty funny. And I also loved at the end of it, Jace, the fact they end the series with them coming up with the Thunder Buddies song.
Yeah, that was pretty heartwarming.
I'm like, that's pretty great, eh? Like, that's a throwaway funny gag from the first film, and that kind of made it emotional in the end. So, look, you can tell we love this show, and you guys need to be checking it out.
I want to know. I don't want to know, but they are very vague with what year this is supposed to be taking place in, because they're talking about Jurassic Park in one episode, and then they're doing the OJ chase in the next episode. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't know if chronologically
Jurassic Park, but yes,
I don't know.
It's a fantastic series.
Yeah, and let's not undermine also the niece, who has a lot to do in this series. Really plays the most really is playing the parental figure to John in many ways, like the street level, older sister kind of thing. She's great. She was really wonderful too, and had a tough. I don't know how you keep a straight face on that set. So
I don't know.
Yep. No,
I
brilliant
like her
show,
role.
guys.
She's the meathead of this not quite All in the Family, but yeah, I like how she stirred things up in every episode, and not really just to stir things up, but she had personal reasons to feel as strongly as she did about things, and that way she didn't come off as she didn't come off quite as self-congratulatory. She had personal stakes in all of her arguments, and I really enjoyed that.
Well, I love the fact that at one point in the show, she actually comes out as being sexually fluid. No, they didn't say she was gay. They didn't try to explain it. They just kind of put it out there that she's sexually fluid, which is great because it's something that was happening back in the 90s, but it's good to, with the current situation, have those kind of positive messaging on a big show like this. And it's big, guys, because they spent the money on it.
Yes, they did. And it looks... I'm sorry. Okay, you got 6 episodes of Ted with big money behind it, and then you have like 10 episodes of Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, where they spent almost $300 million, and it looks like hammered butt. Yeah, where?
Yeah, where? I don't know where the money went on that one. So, everyone, but mind you, just a bit off topic. Everyone just needs to look at Godzilla -1. When it comes to how much bigger budget they got, because they did that for 14 million. So,
and they made it look like it cost 10 times as much too. I mean, it's just an incredible.
I'm not big into the award show, but I was pretty happy to see them up for an Academy Award that got announced yesterday. Pretty happy.
No nomination for Margot Robbie or Greta Gerwig. Sorry, the Oscars are dead as far as I'm concerned.
They have been for years, mate. They have been for years. Let's move on away from that. And get. Guys, Peacock, get on it. Go watch Ted as soon as you can. Is that where it's playing over there in America on Peacock? Because we have it on a streaming service called Binge here.
For the Aussies. That's a terrible name.
Binge? It actually it's a negative connotation, isn't it? Like, come here and you're just going to binge.
Of course, we've got Peacock, so I mean that's not much better either.
Yeah, but Binge is kind of like we're the fast food of streaming services.
That's right.
A little
Watch
bit.
a show here and then go over to the Purge app.
That's it.
What are we doing next? I don't even know.
We're going into rapid fire. Click on rapid fire.
Click on rapid fire. Where is it? Oh my gosh! Hold on. I'm terrible.
Yes, we're back. Hey, that's all right. We're learning. Should have got you some L plates like a student driver. All right, let's get into it. We've only got a few to do rapid fire on this week, and the first one we're doing is on a show that came out late last year, but we wanted to give it time for everybody to have seen it, and we're talking about What If Season 2. It's been out for about 3 weeks now. We're going to just crack into each episode at a time, Jason. So,
yes.
And this the first episode of the series of Season 2 was called What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps. So, all right, Jace, you ready? I'm going to throw you under the bus and make you do this
Okay,
first.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Here we go. Oh,
Any day
press
now.
the button, Jace. Anytime.
Come on.
You said you were bad at producing. Wow.
I know. There we go. Okay, you've wasted 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds of my time. Let's just go ahead and go. Having watched the entire season of What If, I can definitely say they started with their weakest episode. It was not a bad episode. I did enjoy it. As I am a fan of Blade Runner, I really appreciated the homages and the camera angles. I just love Karen Gillian to pieces. I met her once. She said my accent was lovely, and I was like, "Will you marry me?" And her guard sprayed me in the face with mace. I don't know, but overall, I thought it was decent. I thought it was fine. Not. It just seems like sometimes this show has as much trouble taking advantage of a multiverse as the mainline DCU movies do as well. But it was fine. It was fine. I have no major complaints or problems with it. It was perfectly adequate, and therefore, Jazza, or I'm gonna have to give this one a koala of apathy, just because I know
you were thinking about that.
I was thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it till the last second, and then I was like, "Oh, I got to give it an animal." Yeah, didn't quite kangaroo for me, but it does koala.
Fair enough. I'm gonna have a crack now. I do have some issues with this first episode. It's absolutely the weakest of the series. And spoiler alert, I do like the series. My biggest problem with this episode wasn't stylistically. It was a great homage to Blade Runner. I know what they were trying to do. I just don't like what they did in making Nova Prime the baddie. Like, I didn't like that. I thought it's a played out trope. I thought it did something to the character that didn't need to be done. She was she represented all the good of Xandar. And I go, well, that's the reason we should make her the villain. No. It's great they got all the cast back. It was good to see Howard the Duck get a little bit more. There's some nice touches in it, but certainly, not an episode that I would watch again. In a series with a lot of episodes, I would watch again. So, in saying that, I think our little buddy needs to come out and be the same as you. Meh.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say I hated it, because some of it was really good. It just didn't leave anything with me except meh. Let's get on to the next episode.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I was.
All right, let's move it on now, Jace. We're going to move it on to the next show we're going to be talking about.
Are we going to talk about the big meh?
You want to talk about the big meh?
Well, it's your turn to go first. Let's talk about the big meh.
I'll talk about the big meh for sure. Let's do Monarch. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to have a crack at what I thought. Here we go. Wow, really hit with a thud. They tried their hardest to present a exciting last episode, but when you have zero stakes in this story, because for so many episodes we've been this disappointed, nothing. I didn't care about anything that was happening. Even the switcheroo of who was going to go and who was going to stay, I could see it coming a million miles away. What a disappointing use of money, of actors, of a franchise. And to me, this is something where Legendary Films, I don't think they realize they're on a losing streak. They're on a losing horse here with this franchise. I know they got a big movie coming up soon as well, which doesn't excite me. But this series really had so much potential and so wasted. It's definitely, this entire series and this episode gets, well, we don't see him often, but it's definitely a crock for me. All right, buddy.
Let me at it.
Here we go.
Okay, so pretty much everything he said. It was disappointing. It was over dramatic. It was predictable. And I kind of got the feeling that we just watched a 10-episode teaser trailer for Godzilla X Kong. That's really all I feel that happened. I looking back, I Honestly, I think the biggest surprise of this entire series was that they used Godzilla at all. Just seeing him show up, I was like, oh, it's Godzilla. I didn't think they were going to let him on this show. Listen, this is kaiju features are not meant to be series. It just does not work out. And I think that this pretty much showed that, yeah, the weakest link of any of the MonsterVerse movies are the people.
Yeah.
Did not like.
100%. Now, you kind of mentioned something, you felt like this was an 8-episode trailer. A job of a trailer is to get you into the cinema. So this is where they failed again, because if it was an ad, a giant ad for their new movie, they haven't sold many tickets, I don't think, from this.
I'm going to go see it because I like the Legendary movies. I do.
Yeah,
they're stupid,
I've only
but I
liked
like
really
them.
I've liked Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. I like Godzilla sequel. Did not like the first Godzilla. And I like Skull Island. Didn't like the rest.
I like Godzilla versus Kong. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, no, kind
Stupid,
of.
but fun.
Not a bad thing. Yeah, very stupid for sure. For sure. Now, we kind of jumped over it, but we Bob's Burgers has been on. And I think they're taking a bit of a break at the moment, Jace. So
I think they are too. I think Crepopolis is taking a break as well because they seem to take a break every other week because Fox
absolutely
sucks.
So we don't have a lot to talk about in this space, to be honest with it, but we will do Bob's Burgers, because do you remember the episode, Jason, called Mission Impossible?
Is
where
that
Bob
the one
gets
with
stuck in the safe?
With that's a Ted gets stuck in
yeah,
the
sorry,
safe, right?
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
Teddy. Okay, yes. I forgot about this episode.
Well, we're doing that then. We're talking that episode of Bob's Burgers right now. And you know what? I will... do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first, mate?
It's my turn to go first.
It's your turn to go first. Just checking with you, buddy. Here we go.
It's my turn to go first. Okay, so I say it every week. I'm going to say it this week, too. The show is like my comfort show. It's always consistently good. It's always consistently funny. I really enjoyed this episode more than usual, though, because to me, it highlights the two-way relationship and friendship between Bob and Teddy. Most of the time Teddy's around, he kind of seems like a burden and this kind of buffoon that Bob tolerates. But this is one of those episodes where you realize, you know what, these guys really are friends. They will go out of their way for each other. And I just enjoyed that. It's that wholesome friendship that unfortunately the show just does not show a lot of, at least not in the episodes that I've seen. I haven't seen every single episode, but I've seen quite a few. It was funny. It was silly. It's nice to see Teddy actually be competent at things as well. I'm just going to throw this up here because I just super enjoyed this episode. I'm going to give it an Ultra Dazzer. I think it deserves it.
All right. Yes, I really enjoyed this episode too. One of the two things, getting Teddy stuck in the safe and then realizing hours into him being stuck that he has claustrophobia. I was on the floor laughing at that moment. I just thought it was a great Teddy moment. And how can we talk about this episode without saying Beef Hemoth? The family cooking the giant hamburger. And of course, those kids are genius. Comes up with the best ever name either. Best ever name for a burger being Beef Hemoth. Fantastic. Yeah, just a lot of fun. This is like, hey, they've got to stuff up sooner or later, don't they? But they just don't. They keep kicking goals with this show. It's wonderfully delightful. And, it's one of those shows that's such a gift because it's a warm hug every time you watch it. Just excellence lives there. So yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go ultra, but it's definitely a dazzer. But there you go. Brilliant stuff, man.
Absolutely.
You know what? I've got a confession to make. And
What's
I only realized this the other day when I was on Disney Plus. I've never seen the movie.
Oh, the movie is fantastic.
Oh, great.
I should know because I'm one of the 3 people who saw it in theaters.
Yes, apparently so. But I hear the same thing, that it's a great movie. It's really well done.
There's a musical number at the very beginning, and I was just humming it for weeks afterwards. I just loved it so much.
Oh, I'm going to watch it for sure. Fantastic. Well, that kind of ends our normal kind of rapid fire, but we've got another segment to get into, Jace, and that is called Sudden Death. Can you get that going for us?
Death.
Of course, Sudden Death is all about us watching a show for the first time, judging it, and deciding whether we're going to go on or not. And this week we've decided to look at Marvel Studios. Never heard of these guys before, but they've got a show called Echo, apparently.
Oh, I've been calling her Echo the whole time. Oh my gosh, I'm just embarrassed.
No, they've released another series now. I don't know if we'll time this out because I think we can just go back and forward on this one, Jace. This show, I'll go straight off the bat. If you haven't seen Hawkeye, straight away you're going to be lost because it's so dependent on one of their other worst series for it even to make sense in context at the beginning. We kind of let it out before. This show sucks, right?
I
kind of does.
I could not have cared less, Kat. I could
She's
not
not likable.
I could not have cared less about this character. I barely remembered who she was from Hawkeye because the Hawkeye series was so dull. And then they're giving Echo they're giving Echo her own series, and I'm just like, who's Echo and why? Why do we even care about this character?
She's never. There's nothing to attach to. Like, if you're going to have a hero, we've got to like the hero, right? We've got to be want to go on the journey. I don't like it at all. Maya Lopez, you're just not a nice person. I know you've got trauma. And they try everything in that first episode to go, hey, it's all part of Marvel. Here's Daredevil at you. We'll give you a bit of Daredevil. We'll give you Kingpin. And we'll give you, who else did they throw in there? Hawkeye.
Oh, here's Hawkeye.
Yeah,
yes.
like that. This is weak, honestly. And, you know, I've seen 3 of the episodes out of the 5 that they dropped. And I think you said you'd seen a couple, or you've seen 3 of them?
2. I've seen 2.
Yeah, I'm not going back. I'm not finishing it. And I think that is the first time ever with any Marvel content that I have not seen it out.
I think that this is indicative of the problem that Marvel has had lately, is that we're going into the era of the glut where they were just green lighting everything, thinking that people would come to it. We saw it bring down the last Captain Marvel movie because you had to know who Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel was. And I say that as somebody who actually really enjoyed the Marvels. I thought the Marvels was a great movie.
But it is a great movie.
Yeah, I can understand why people wouldn't want to go because they're like, well, I'm having to watch 2 series to know what's happening in this movie. Spoiler alert, you really didn't.
No, you didn't.
But this one you have to know Hawkeye. You have to remember that show. You have to you basically kind of have to even know the characters from the Netflix Daredevil series. And I'm gonna say Vincent D'Onofrio is a fantastic Kingpin. Oh. He's really great. And I was so happy to see Graham Greene. Anytime I see Graham Greene in anything, I usually automatically like it. So I don't completely hate the series. I do like the scenes with Graham Greene in it.
Yeah. Graham Greene,
everything else is fine.
First time I saw him, I think it was Dances with Wolves, wasn't it?
Dances with Wolves. That was the first time I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been fantastic in everything. He actually, I hate to say it because I don't know if people like this movie or not, but I'm a bit of a guilty pleasure as Maverick, that Mel Gibson film.
I love Maverick. Yeah.
And even I just loved his scenes. Graham Greene in that, playing the Indian, just effing with the Mavericks. It was a lot of fun. So
that was a lot of fun. I will also say I did spot William Knifeman from Reservation Dogs in this series, and my reaction was, William Knifeman. I just started doing that.
That guy's in a better series.
Yes, he's in a better series elsewhere. Go watch Reservation Dogs. It's amazing. William Knifeman is one of my favorite characters ever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very I think Marvel, look, we know that Marvel has come out publicly and said less content. Well, Disney has
Yes.
come out and said that. Mr. Iger has put his hand down and made it so. So, yeah, we're just kind of now getting all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
that did get green lighted that never should have been green lighted. I don't know
It,
why or who thought this was a content that the audience wanted. I
it's
just don't
because
get
they
it.
thought that we would come and watch anything. That's what it was. And there
Yeah.
for a while they were right, but now since phase 5 has kind of gone, belly up and has been
Yeah.
nothing but a major disappointment most of the
It's
time.
one of the things
Yeah.
that Marvel used to be so praised for was the structure, that they knew what they were doing. They had a bigger plan at play. But it's very evident that that is not as secure as it was in, the Infinity Saga. They
No.
are now having to move left, right, up and down to accommodate these changes, and it's certainly a mess. I mean, like, you spend that money on Echo, where's my Shang-Chi sequel? Why didn't I get that?
It's on
That
its
was a fun
way.
movie. I wanted to see
Yeah,
more of those
it's on its way.
characters.
I want to know where the Eternal sequel is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Nobody wants an Eternal sequel.
No,
Um,
I will argue a little bit. I don't hate that film.
I did.
I didn't hate it. Yeah.
That's the first Marvel movie I watched where at the end I was like, wow, I hated every minute of that movie.
I hate the fact that they've never, ever addressed those characters in any other.
No.
In a world where everything's kind of mentioned, names are dropped, we get characters coming in. The giant statue in the middle of the ocean never gets mentioned again.
She-Hulk mentioned it. Everyone forgets She-Hulk mentioned the statue.
Does she?
It was
Is that
in
at the end, though?
No, it was in a newspaper somebody was reading. It was like, mystery statue found in ocean. And I was like, that's funny. Okay.
Here, controversial comment. They've just come out the last couple of days and said there will be no She-Hulk season 2. That's a show that did deserve a second series in my mind.
I completely agree. She-Hulk was so smart and it was so funny. This show was so witty. It was predicting what the trolls were saying about it every week. I loved that. I do have one nice thing to say about Echo, because I was looking at my notes. I was like, oh, I scribbled something here. My 5-time great grandmother was indigenous. She was a Choctaw Indian, and this is the first time I've ever actually seen the Choctaw tribe represented ever in mainstream media. So
I got to agree. Never heard of that tribe at all.
Yeah, nobody else had ever heard of it either. And then whenever it popped up and it said Choctaw, I was like, oh, that's great grandma Nache's tribe.
They came from Pandora, apparently, according to the beginning of this series.
Yeah, I don't think that that's true, because if that's true, then I'm like 1/32nd alien.
But I don't know what the deal is there. No. Anyway. All right, so there we go. We didn't like Echo, and because of the axe has fallen, you're not going to hear us talk about it again. We're done. Forget about it. We're moving on. Yes. We're out. I'm out. Jason's out.
Bailed out
there
completely.
Go. All right, Jace, let's move in now to Hidden Gem.
Oh, this is my favorite music because it sounds so dirty.
Now, Hidden Gem is something where each week, either me or Jason, we're going to talk about a film, a TV show, something that we think the audience needs to think and talk about. Now, Jason, bear with me for a sec here. As you know, on my TikTok, I put a lot of intro clips for sitcoms up. I've been doing that for a little bit, and thanks to everyone who's following. Now, with that, what I've been noticing quite a lot is the reactions I'm getting from people around TV intros. The fact that people have really strong emotional connections to shows they grew up with and watched. And I thought to myself, you know what? This is a great opportunity maybe to teach about some of the younger generation, some of the great shows that are available on your streaming services you may not have heard of, but you should go and watch. And I thought I'd start it off this week with a series that first came out. I believe the first air date was on March 21st, 1995. And I'm talking about a show called News Radio. Now, anyone in the 90s would know of the show. There's a bit of darkness attached to the real life aspect of this show, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about one of the great sitcoms of the 90s. Was this show? Ran for 5 seasons, had 4 great ones, and what a cast, Jason. Let's have a look at the cast of News Radio. Now, you right-winger nutjobs might notice Joe Rogan there on the left. But we also have Andy Dick, sober. Well, relatively sober, I think. Mira Turney, who ended up having a great career. We've also got Dave Foley as well. But Stephen Root, again, first time I'd seen him ended up being an amazing character actor. Everyone's fantastic, but really, it's Phil Hartman. This show was absolutely a vehicle for him. Set in an AM, kind of news-based radio kind of company, hijinks go on. Why this is so great is because they got their characters right. And sitcoms, I think, really succeed based upon the characters and their interaction between themselves. And they've just got it here. I mean, Jace, I don't know, you may not remember much of the show, but you must remember the back and forth between Phil Hartman, or Bill McNeil, and Andy Dick. Some of the funniest things in this whole series was that. It's delightfully really smart. It unfortunately came to an end because Phil Hartman tragically was murdered at the end of the 4th season, which was tragic, one of the most famous Hollywood stories. And then they had to come in with a replacement for Phil Hartman, and his real-life best friend came in to step in for season 5, and that is John Lovitz, as you can see. They did what they could with the season, had some good episodes, but really this show's strength is in the first 4 seasons. It is a must-watch if you haven't seen it, because if you do like that type of television comedy, sitcoms basically, this is something that is not, we're not talking Family Matters here or Full House. We're talking legitimately funny television. So my hidden gem is News Radio. You got to go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's look, if you're not laughing by the second episode in, bail. Maybe it's not for you. But for me, it is one of my most treasured favorite sitcoms ever. And that's it.
Fantastic. I watched it back in the day. I have to admit, it's been 25 years, so I don't remember a lot, but I do remember the episode where they made fun of Titanic. And then I remember the episode that they aired after Phil Hartman passed away, and just how they somehow found the comedy. I'm not sure how they would have done that, but they did it. Because I remember it being sad and funny.
The first 4 or 5 episodes of that season are actually pretty good, but it's after they kind of deal with all that, then it's just kind of, you could tell it was at the end of its run. But a wonderful, wonderful show. And again, the reason I'm talking about sitcoms, because people, it's crazy how many comments I see on TV intros and things like that, how emotionally connected people are to these type of television. Because for a lot of people, this was their escape. If they had a good day and they were tired, they'd come home and watch their favourite show. If they had a bad day, they had safety net of shows like this to take them away for it. So it is not high art television sitcoms, but they do play an important role in media.
Oh, absolutely. You know, they're characters that you invite into your home every week or sometimes every day if it's in syndication. My extended family was Night Court. I loved Night Court whenever I was younger. And so, you know, Harry and Dan and Roz and Bull, and having them it's like having a meetup with your friends every week. And
what about Brett Spiner? That couple. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the couple, Spiner, but
oh my
so
God,
good.
I can't remember them either, but they were so funny. They were so great. The new series is actually pretty good too. I will admit, it was unexpectedly good.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear, because, you know, I had that experience with Frasier earlier this year, where the new season went, this is actually really good. So that's good to hear, for sure. All right, Jason, I think that ties it up, mate. I think we're done.
Okay, so let's put a bow on it then. Let's tell everybody where you can find us. First of all, my friend VHS Jace, you can find him on Pop Culture Spread,
Yep.
movie and streaming news,
Yep.
with his buddy Rick right there.
Oh,
You can
mate, it's just
also
me ranting about things. It's good.
it's so completely out of character. And then you can also find yours truly and our friend Captain Joe Dove over at the Captain's Quadrant every Thursday at
Oh,
9
Jace,
p.m.
tell them what
Eastern.
you're doing this week. Can you
Oh
spoil
my
it?
goodness. So yeah, we're currently in the middle of the agony booth. Whenever there's no new Trek, we go back and we look at the worst episodes. But we got lucky this week and we spun a great episode called oh my gosh. What is it called? In the Pale Moonlight, right? Yeah, it's a Deep
Yep.
Space Nine episode, in my opinion, probably one of the top 3 episodes of Star Trek of all time. And it's
I put
going to
it at
be
5,
oh
but it's there,
no.
up there.
Yeah, it's up there. It's up there, but it's definitely one of the best episodes ever. And it's not an agony booth, it's going to be an ecstasy booth. And
Yeah,
of course
because
you
there's
can
nothing
find
agonizing about that. Yep.
no, and of course you can find both of us right here on the Jason Roy Gaston YouTube channel. You know you found
But
it
what if they
because
wanted
you're watching it right
more
now.
from you, Jason? They wanted more from you. What
Oh,
outlet do
fine,
you
hold
have for
on.
them
Oh, wait.
to get more from you for a small amount of money?
Oh, well, you can join our Patreon. The details on that are below in the description. If you join the Patreon, you're going to get exclusive goodies, including videos that nobody else will see or wants to see.
For legal reasons.
For legal reasons, yes. It's very, very cheap. It's for less than the price of a hamburger meal at McDonald's. You pay that once a month. You make me a little happier. And
And
isn't
your
that what we
arteries
all
will
want?
be less hardened too. So that's good.
Yes.
It's good for your
Yes.
health to do it.
It improves your skin. It makes you less farty because we've all noticed. But yes, that's where we are. So I suppose we will be back next week with more
We
of
will
our
be,
nonsense.
Jace.
I know what my hidden gem is going to be next week. I'm
Well,
ready.
did you want to tease, or you just that's the tease? You want to say
I'm
what
gonna
it is, or
I'm gonna tease it, but it's for a kind of a sad reason because the show producer, the show co-creator, actually passed away yesterday.
oh,
And I think it's
okay.
high past time that we pay tribute to Tracy Torme's brilliant science fiction series, Sliders,
Wow, I didn't know.
which
he
only ran
passed.
for 2 seasons and no more.
That blows my mind you, because I felt like that had a 7-season run.
They had a 5-season run,
Uh,
but those last 3 seasons don't exist.
Gotcha. Now, okay, all good. All right, guys, we're going to end this. We're going to get out of here on that positive note, and we will see you all next week on If You Don't Agree.
You're wrong. You know, I've
Wow.
been thinking. I actually like you out of focus. It's better. It's like when Liz Taylor
I am better
would
looking.
appear. Yeah, it's like when Liz Taylor would appear on camera and they would smear Vaseline on the lens.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
improved
But, you know, maybe that wasn't my internet. Maybe it was Vaseline.
Hey, you know what? What you do in the privacy of your own home is your own business.
You
But
know,
we got to
actually,
save that for Patreon.
yes, Patreon.